What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. Toe Tag and Tambo, and we're back. Wednesdays are for winners. We're here on the Hardwood Show. Got my guys Locks and Title with me, of course. As always, 10-game slate. A lot of stuff to talk about. There is some injury news and stuff we'll be waiting for. As always, that's the usual. If you guys haven't yet done so on the way in, do us a favor. Hit that like button. And an even bigger push today, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done so already, or if you haven't paid attention, we're at 14,800 and change. You guys know my goal was to get to 15,000 by the end of the year. We can still get there. If we get there today, I'd be happy because it's still before the first month is up. And it's my birthday on Saturday. There were some jokes on Twitter about that yesterday. That'd be a lovely birthday present for me leading into the weekend. We'll get those likes up tonight. We'll have some more free shows for you guys throughout. Of course, if you haven't yet done so, go over to runpuresports.com. Sign up now. You can use promo codes. We'll talk about them all throughout. I'll let these guys battle for them. But sign up now. It's all sports, one price, same as always. We got golf kicked off early this week on Wednesday, sweating some of that on the phone for some round one showdown. And then, of course, talking everything else. We got the NFL Sunday coming up for the conference championship. Some big, big games. My favorite of the year to watch is actually these conference championship games. Title, bring you in, man. How you doing on this fine Wednesday? What are your thoughts? And what do you take this weekend with the conference championships or the Super Bowl? Because Super Bowl is what it is. It's a party. We have a good time. We drink. But I love watching these games this weekend. What say you?
Yeah, I would pick this week too. I mean, I get two games instead of one game. I mean, two great. I mean, the best four teams, both games are like a Super Bowl. You said last week, this is your favorite week because you get two Super Bowls in one day. Yeah, I mean, the best four teams should be a blast. Huge prize pools. So, yeah, I love the Super Bowl too, but always want more football, two games over one. So this week, I prefer great football. I'm talking football now. Great NBA slate today, 10 games. The Denver situation, the midday downgrades, pretty much the whole team. The line felt weird early at 8. My buddy texted me and he's like, man, Bucks are favored by 8. I checked who was out. It was just MPJ was doubtful. And I'm like, yeah, something feels weird. Something's going to happen. I didn't fire on it, unfortunately, but I think it's like 10.5 now. I assume they sit, but how we have the slate, a lot of games are at 8 p.m. Eastern. Only one at 7, only one at 7:30. So should get that Jokic news before most of your lineups. Jokic, Jamal, all of that Denver news before most of your spots are locked in your lineups.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on it throughout. Just already checking to make sure my notifications are clean so we can get these updates as we go along. Locks, bring you in, man. How you feeling on this Wednesday? What's going on?
Yeah, doing well. Looking forward to this big 10-game slate we got here. And then obviously a weekend full of football here. 2 good games coming up, so always exciting. But first, we got 10 games to dive into here. A lot of interesting spots, a lot of news injury-wise, early and late. A lot of it actually coming late. So another night you got to stay by your computer and be ready to late swap. So we'll be diving in here, digging in the best we can. If-then scenarios, just pay attention and we'll dive in.
Yeah, that's our thing. Title, I'll kick it to you. You mentioned a few of the things, obviously the Denver one being a bigger piece. But before we hop into the game by game, as always, give a bit of an overview. We know we got LeBron late tonight. Big totals later in the slate. You talked about it. Maybe if you could hang on, get some action later on, but going to be some late swap opportunity, I think, for sure. So give us your grand scheme overview, man, before we get into this game by game.
Yeah, so the questionable tags that we're looking, that's important. LeBron is questionable. Second night of a back-to-back, absolutely dominated yesterday. Still, their team's they're not helping him at all. He was frustrated on the bench. He's questionable every single game pretty much, but this one feels like there's more of a chance he could sit out. Anthony Davis will be back. So, yeah, that's an interesting spot with LeBron. Again, that's the last game on the slate on an island, though. So you do have to plan what you're going to do with that news, whether you're going to wait, have spots open or not. Embiid is questionable. Should get that news. That game is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Obviously very important. He's out, changes the slate. Rudy Gobert is also questionable. We know Naz Reid stuff by now. Then, yeah, the Denver. Jokic, Jamal Murray, KCP, all questionable in this. If they rest everyone, I mean, it's just going to be all the scrubs. It's going to be Zeke Najee's going to start. Christian Braun, the rookie's going to matter. I mean, Bones Highland, if he plays, he's also questionable. So Denver's the big spot. That's at 8. I think we have one game at 7, one at 7:30, 5 at 8, I believe, 3 at 10, and 1 at 10:30 is how it looks. So the Jokic news, 8 p.m. Eastern, that's the big stuff. Only one game at 7. Pretty much just TJ McConnell is looking where the ownership's going to go. And hopefully, if we don't have that news by that game, then we got it by the 7:30 game.
Yeah, last night, McConnell, I know there were some tilters on Twitter out there. And then on top of it, you had Buddy go off as well. So a bit of a crazy slate last night. That leads into thoughts for this night. Locks, anything you want to add just on the slate, things you've got on your mind before we get into this first game?
No, not really. Title kind of touched on everything. So I'd say let's just get into it.
Right in.
We go.
We got Indy, Orlando, 234-point total. Like you said, I think Nemhard, and I'm not sure if we got the Neesmith news yet, but I think it's those two guys that it looks like we're waiting on. So what are your thoughts here on this one, Locks?
Yeah, this game, obviously McConnell's interesting. He can get there for us. His usage has been there. I don't mind playing him. I don't know if I'm going to tonight or not. I'm going to see just how high his ownership's going to get because it's going to be up there. Obviously, injury news stuff can make things different as we go along here. And I actually don't mind Fultz on the other side of the ball at $5,900. So lower ownership, I wouldn't mind going that route. But if I'm talking the Pacers, I'm going probably McConnell tonight, Buddy Hield, Benedict, and then Chris Duarte is interesting to me. If he starts, say Neesmith's out and Duarte starts, I don't mind him at $3,400. Might sprinkle in a little bit of him. On the Magic side, it's just Markelle Fultz, Banchero, and Franz Wagner for me. Maybe a slight interest in Wendell Carter. I just don't know if I want to pay $6,400 for him tonight. I'll have to see how injuries come up. But those are my leans in this game. Otherwise, not too heavy, but definitely a lot of interest here.
Yeah, I like some of those calls for sure. You brought up a spot. Duarte started last night. I think he had a little foul trouble early, and then it ended up being Buddy, and McConnell just continued to go off. Everything went his way. Title, I'll get your thoughts on this one. Start with McConnell, though, because looks like, pushing big ownership again tonight. So what are your thoughts on him? Price $6,000. I mean, it's not really what you'd want to pay for him, but the way he's played and the way it's been lately, it seems like it's been okay. So your thoughts on him and then the rest of this game, what you got?
Yeah, the McConnell situation, I mean, he's a good play regardless of this injury situation, but Nemhard is the big questionable take, where if he's in, I think fading TJ McConnell is a lot easier to do. If Nemhard's still out, even with this price increase, I mean, he's playing 40 minutes, and he's always been a good he fills up the peripherals. He tussles. He can grab some boards for his size. The assists are there. I mean, he puts the ball in the bucket. He's a good mid-range shooter. Just a smart basketball player overall. 40 minutes for a point guard. Man, like he's smashing. I'll go back to him if Nemhard's out. If he's in, TJ McConnell's still a good play for sure, but the fade 6K, 6-7 on FanDuel going to be uber chalk on both sides. Even if Nemhard's in, I still think he will be, but I think you could get away. I think you could even play Nemhard at 4.7K. I would want to see, like, would there be a minutes restriction, something like that, but I think going to him as a pivot off of McConnell would be fine. The price is down there. Outside of McConnell, though, Neesmith news means a little bit, not too much, though. Like, I don't think I'm going to get to an O'Shea Brissett or something like this on this slate. So really McConnell, maybe Nemhard is a 2% play if he's in. Miles Turner at 7-1, I'm interested in as well. Then Buddy. I mean, how can you ignore Buddy? Again, he's in the same boat as McConnell. If Nemhard is out, I give Buddy more of a boost. Plays a couple more minutes, will shoot the ball a little more. If Nemhard's in, it's just more crowded in the backcourt, and I probably won't get to him. So definitely watch the Nemhard news. McConnell will be the most popular in this game for sure. Going to the Orlando side, they're healthy. So the only two guys I have interest in, Wendell Carter Jr., 6.4K. He is just that center eligible, but he's playing a little over 30 minutes. We know the upside he can have. Going to need a size against Miles Turner. And then, man, Paulo's price, 7K. You look at it, I mean, 7K is probably about right. His usage just came down. He hasn't shot the ball great. Some games he shoots it fine. More games he's missed a lot more than he's made. But 7K is just a price I can't ignore. Now, no, it's not going to be a jam him in play. I wish the usage was higher. I wish like the shooting was – he's shooting fine. It's not like it's awful. I wish he was shooting awful, so I'd buy the dip in that. But 7K for their guy they spent the number one pick on. It is a healthy team. I don't love the Magic, but I can't ignore Paulo if I'm running multiple Pacers.
Yeah, the chat brought it up. Our guy Mike said, about Isaac coming back. Exciting. I mean, we had to watch him go through that unfortunate injury, and then he bounced back. He came back first game, only 9 minutes. Of course, they're going to ease him back in. But anything with that title that you see, just any worry, I guess, from some of the stuff? Like they said, like Paulo, you got him, if he gets limited at all, if Isaac stays limited, does that affect Paulo? Like, what's your thoughts on that angle?
Yeah, no, that's important to bring up. Isaac came in, you said he played 8-9 minutes. He had a 37% usage rate. And I watched it too. It was nice. They got it to him, whether it was the elbow, whether it was an ISO near the corner, and he just went to work. He just didn't even look to pass the ball. When you're only playing 8 to 10 minutes, that's literally what he's going to do. Now, he did come off the bench, so his minutes were staggered from Paulo's a bit. But yeah, I mean, it definitely hurts Paulo a little bit. If that number goes like 15 minutes, yeah, it's a bump down to all these guys. I mean, Isaac, if you guys remember Isaac, I mean, the dude was a complete stud. Yeah. He was filling it up before multiple of his injuries. So he's going to come back and have a big role in this team, which hurts everyone else. So it's mainly the price tag. That's why I was trying to like talk myself into what to do with Paolo, because everyone sees 7K. Everyone's going to want to go there, but I think that price tag is right. So I'm going to play more of the ownership game. If he gets steamed, I won't get there. If he looks low owned, you play multiple Pacers, I think that's where you play him.
Yeah, and I like that last line, like you said, like the price is basically right versus little Bob Barker. The price is right over here. You say it's not like it's this crazy good price that you're getting. It's just,
but it feels like it. Yeah, it feels like it because they were.
When you think it through, it's kind of like, maybe it's not this steal, and the price is actually just the way it should be. So definitely something to keep in mind. Looks like the ownership is pushing up a little bit, and that's why I thought it would be key to bring that up. Let's move on, though, Title. I'm going to stay with you on this, and we'll move to Philly, Brooklyn. Obviously, got to wait. Like you said, we should get that Embiid news, so we'll see. As soon as you guys see it, if you want to throw it in the chat, you can. And before I go to you, Title, quick reminder, hit that like button. We got almost 400 watching. We're going to go for 400 likes. We got 9 full games to discuss. The viewers will go up. The likes should go up. It's easy to hit that one on the way in. Randone's in the chat. He likes Lox's call on Fultz back in that first game, so keep that in mind as well. If you want a little pivot there, maybe you go to him in the same spot. You can run like a McConnell and Fultz maybe and use up some guard spots if Nembhard is out. But Title, I'll go back to you. Let's talk through this Brooklyn-Philly game.
Yeah, so the Embiid news is the thing. If he is in, I really don't have much interest. I wouldn't play anyone on the Philly side. Of course, if you want to play a 5% own Joel Embiid, there's enough value on the slate. You can figure it out. Not going to be for me, though. If he's out, though, yeah, James Harden, 9.9K would be one of the best plays on the slate. Tobias, 6.2K would be one of the better plays. Tyrese Maxey, DeAnthony Melton. All these prices now are a lot lower because they've been healthy. It's not like where Melton was still 7K when one of them were missing. So Embiid's in. I think you can fade this Philly team. If he's out, multiple of these guys. Harden would be my favorite. Tobias second. Probably Maxey third. Melton fourth. But Melton has shooting guard and small forward eligibility, which is nice. Going over to the Brooklyn side, if people are going to talk Ben Simmons revenge, you can do it. It's not for me. The only guy I have interest in this game, on this side, is Kyrie, 10.1K. Again, his ownership looks pretty low too. But you look what he's done the past 3 games: 62, 83, 61 DK points. The man's playing 40 minutes. It's Kyrie Irving shooting the ball about 30 times. Not the best of matchups, but 5% ownership. I'll buy into the talent there and the hot streak he's got going. So yeah, really just Kyrie, and then that's it. If Embiid's in, if he's out, I guess that's where Kyrie. I think you can play Kyrie even if Embiid's in, but more people will go to him if he's out because they're going to play like 3 Sixers, and then everyone's going to want the run back with Kyrie. So kind of like it the opposite way, whereas if Embiid's in, I like Kyrie more because I think the ownership will be lower. Again, I'm giving the field too much credit, but that's the stuff I try and think of now. I mean, DFS is so sharp nowadays. You have to see if everyone's going Philly, everyone talks about a run back. That's going to be a very popular grouping. Whereas I think I wouldn't like it as much because of that. I mean, Kyrie doesn't matter who's in on the other side. The dude's shooting. If it goes in, he's getting points.
Yeah, that's right. Now, it is a good way to think about it. Like I said, not everyone does it that way, but it's definitely something, I'm thinking about it the other way. It's the meta game of the whole thing where you're basically looking at it like, okay, if I'm using these 3, shouldn't I get something to make it work? Now, in this case, it end up being Philly value plays. So you don't necessarily have to run it back. It's usually when you have like an injury situation where it's like, okay, this guy slides in. Maybe you want to make that work here. Maybe it would be something, again, not saying to go here. There's lots of great spots later on, but just saying Harden and Irving, sometimes that's the way we're like, okay, if he's going to do work in position here with Embiid out, assuming Embiid was out in this example, maybe that means we get Irving going more from the other side. And maybe that's something you could look at. But going back, go ahead.
I just want to say one quick thing because this has me thinking even more too. So just say Embiid's out, Harden's 45%, Tobias 30%, all of this, and just say 3 people. Like it looks like everyone's playing Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, James Harden. That's pretty expensive. Then you would run it back with Harden. Just say like of that 30% Philly ownership, let's say, how much you think Kyrie's 8% owned? How much of that 8% of Kyrie is with multiple Philly guys? You get what I'm saying? I probably could have articulated that question better, but do you get what I'm saying, Tam?
Yeah, I know
so
exactly
many sharps just jam in the same core, and you can get so different doing it a different way.
Here's another thing I was going to stack onto that before I went to locks. I was going to say one thing I noticed, two things. One, going back to the locks credit on the previous, I'm going to use this example in a second anyway, but Fultz, like you said, Markelle Fultz, you said their locks is $100 less than McConnell Oppo on the opposite side, right? We love stuff like that. Like to me, again, he's not going to project as well, but that's the whole point. He fills the same position in the same game on the opposite side for $100 less. Now, here's a great example, Locks, and I'll kick it to you to talk through this Brooklyn-Philly game. But one of the prime examples that I'm always talking about, you've got basically Harden and McConnell, or you can play Kyrie and Fultz, and you've got just a complete out. And now, assuming, let's say Embiid's out, that's going to be pretty common, I would say, based on the McConnell ownership we already know exists, and the fact that Harden would immediately become more popular. You've got two guys in the same spots, opposite sides, same games, that are going to be much lower owned. And who's to say they're not the guys that get the job done tonight in the exact same spot? And you can play multiples of them too, just giving that example. But Locks, I'll kick it to you on this one, man. Brooklyn, Philly, some if-then with the Embiid news.
Yeah, I love that call of running like a Kyrie with a Fultz. I mean, you talk about getting super different, especially with Embiid out. I wouldn't mind a lineup like that. Might actually do it. So definitely a ton of interest there. I'm glad you said that. I do think possibly Embiid is out, which, yeah, I mean, Harden's just a smash if Embiid is out. So Harden's still fine if Embiid's in. But those are the only two I have interest in no matter what. On the Sixers side, I'm just not going to play anybody else in this game, even with or without that news. If he's out, I'm playing Harden. If he's in, I have interest in both those two, but nobody else. On the Brooklyn side, really just Kyrie and then Claxton. Claxton's looked really good. I just don't know if I'll personally get there tonight, but he's looked very, very good lately. He's going to have super low ownership, under 5%. I mean, $7,600, and generally Embiid don't play too great a defense. I mean, centers play well against this Philadelphia team as well. So some interest there at low ownership, but really just Kyrie, Harden, and Embiid for me, and I'll move on.
Yeah, like I said, we'll wait and see, guys. As we get that news, we'll definitely let you know, but I don't see anything yet. Just looking at some other stuff. They went back to doing their updates where they're not waiting till the end of the night to announce stuff. So you're seeing like DeAndre Ayton available for tomorrow or something. Like, who cares? It's Wednesday. Let's move on, Title. Let's go to Washington, Houston. Talk us through this one.
Yeah, it's an interesting game right here. Waiting on a little injury news. Jabari Smith is questionable. If he is out, Tari Eason probably slides back into the starting lineup, I'd imagine. Played a very good game last time. KPJ is also still out for the Rockets. As far as Washington, Porzingis still out. Monty Morris is questionable. So, yeah, I mean, people yesterday were talking DeLon Wright and stuff. If Monty Morris is ruled out, you can get your DeLon Wright, go to him and play some point guard minutes as well. Denny, 4K, he looks to be pretty popular on this slate. He did not start yesterday when everyone think he was going to. Still smashed, played a little over 30 minutes. The peripherals were there, though. He only shot the ball 5 times, bunch of rebounds he grabbed. I think he would be a fine play, even if he comes off the bench. You get good salary saving there. Gafford, 4.7K. I like him at center. Big upside there. If you need I'm really curious to see what Big T is going to say about this one on the premium show because Corey Kispert, 3.1K. He says anyone that's 3K, it does not matter. We always know about these whiteys Big T talks about. But, man, 3.1K for Kispert. If it gets you all the Kyrie Irvings or double spend build and stuff, I'll play a little Corey Kispert. He'll play upper 20s minutes there. Bradley Beal, we talked about him yesterday too, 7.2K. Didn't shoot the ball great either. Played 30 minutes, had a usage above 30. I'm a little nervous on the back-to-back. He's only a couple games off of injury. Him only playing 30 minutes, though, makes me feel like they were saving him. He's not on the injury report or anything, so making him seem like he wants to play 30 minutes or something this game, that price tag keeps standing out to me. AP had him in his core yesterday, shot poorly, could have easily had 40. Now gets the nut matchup against Houston, so I'll go back to Bradley Beal in this spot. Kuzma, 8.8, I think is good as well. I mean, we love picking on the Rockets. I love all these Wizards. I think they're all great plays. Houston side, not as good. Sengun, 8.7K. Yeah, I mean, it's way up there. You cannot afford a snowflake, but he has been very good. I don't have a strong lean on which side. I'll let you and Locks talk about that. Then KJ Martin, 5.1K. If Jabari Smith is out, I think he gets even a bigger bump. He's still going to start even if Jabari Smith is in. An athletic guy that can fill it up in multiple areas. So KJ Martin would get even a bigger bump if Jabari Smith is out. If he's in, he's still a fine play. And then, like I said, Tari Eason, only if Jabari is out, he'll slide in the starting lineup. Good value for 4-4. So, yeah, that's what I got. I guess Jalen Green, too, 7.5. A lot of guys. I mean, we love picking on Houston. We love picking on Washington. Here's your game stack right there.
I was just going to say, for what people see on paper as a lower total, this is definitely a spot with that tight spread and these two teams, the way you could fill it up. And especially
and the prices.
If we get more guys out, you end up even have more condensed. So that's something to bring up. You brought up Big T on the premium show the other night. I thought you were going to bring up the call he had. He said Jalen Green equals shippers, and certainly did. Almost 60 DK points out of him the other night. Porter obviously remains out. We'll see about the rest. But again, price tag is there, $7,500. Have to make some decisions. Eason, I would imagine, to your point, title gets extremely popular because he's done his job the last couple times when he got to fill in. So I think people go there. But Locks, I'll kick it to you on this one, man. Talk about Denny up front here and then take us into the rest of the game. But Denny looks to be probably at least as of right now, he looks like in the top 3 of ownership on the slate with McConnell and some other guys there. So give us your thoughts on Denny and then the rest of this game.
Yeah, I'm definitely fine playing Denny. I love him tonight. I'm okay eating that chalk. I just think he's a great play. He's in a great spot. They got rid of Rui. So, I mean, I just think this dude, he's got double-double upside, I think, every night he gets in there. Last night, the usage was there. I mean, higher up than what it is normally. You know what I mean? He plays 32 minutes. If that guy gets 30 minutes, I'll jam him all day. He's 4K. I don't know how you can't play him. If Monty Morris is out on this Wizards side, I'd say, DeLon Wright, but also Kendrick Nunn, who they just signed. I think he's going to be active. I wouldn't mind maybe sprinkling him in. I think he's going to get some action tonight, possibly. Only if Morris sits out. If Morris is in there, I don't have any interest there. But definitely interesting to me on that side of the ball. And then Kuzma, I think, is in a smash spot. I love him tonight. I'm going to be playing a ton of him. This game is actually one of my favorites to stack, I think, as I'm looking through here. And not a lot of people are going to do it. And for the reason of title said, the salary is there for everybody. I mean, everybody's price is just great. On the Rockets side, I'm going to jam Sengun and Jalen Green tonight. I just think they're in a perfect spot. Sengun's been crushing for us. I'm going to stick with it. I don't see him being more than 10% owned, so I love that. And then if Jabari Smith's in, I do like him. He's in a great spot. If he's out, Tari Eason, obviously in a smash spot as well. So tons of interest here. I'm going to be this will be my most favorite game to stack, in my opinion. I just think nobody's going to go there. So this is where I'm going.
Yeah, people are just going to grab a piece instead of actually putting multiples in, like you said. And that's kind of where it gets a little tricky. The other thing is positionally, like DeLon Wright looks awesome. Obviously gets even better if Morris is out. But at 4,100, it's nice that he's $100 more than Denny. And so you kind of could play someone else in the same game, same type of spot. But you've also got the fact that Denny is small forward, power forward eligible. That's just going to make him that much more valuable, that much more popular. So not sure if you've got anything else to add here, Title, but if not.
I got one more thing to add. Someone in chat said, how many Wizards is too many and stuff like this. So this game's at 8 p.m. Eastern. The next game we're about to talk about is Denver. Right now, Denver's all these guys are listed as questionable. A lot of projections have Denver right now as all of them playing. If Denver, all these Denver guys, Jamal, MPJ's already out, KCP, Jokic, if all these guys get ruled out, like Kispert's not a play really anymore. Yeah, I guess if you're 4% or something, but all of these Denver guys are way better plays. And news, like if somehow we get LeBron news or we get Embiid news or Gobert news would help a little bit. Like all of this, there could be better spots. Right now, the Wizards look like good value. Without Rui, you know where the minutes are going. It's a good matchup against the Houston. However, if you lose the whole Denver team, all of those backups are going to be way better. We're about to segue into that. But how many Wizards is too many? Right now, I think you could play 3, maybe even 4. Probably would do 3 in tournaments, but that could easily change to like max 2 I would do if the news breaks a certain way.
Yeah, take us into that. Great point. And we're going there anyway. Like you said, it's an excellent segue. So just talk about it because Denver, Milwaukee, we know the Milwaukee side, but the conversation is all around Denver here. So give us the breakdown of what you kind of think is going to happen or see what could happen and then how you would play it out from there.
Yeah, I'll just touch on the Bucks quick because it's so much easier. The only guy I would play is Giannis, 11.5K. Bobby is out. He's going to be out for like 2 weeks at least, it looks like. Still, I mean, this team's deep enough. Giannis 11.5 is a good price tag. But, man, I'd say I don't predict blowouts. I don't do any of that. That remains true. But I do have a little concern with Giannis. They're coming off playing Detroit where they absolutely smashed him. He only played 26 minutes, though. That was his first game back off of injury. This will be a second game off of injury. 10.5-point favorites. They have this game by the neck at any time. I don't know why they would push Giannis and play him over 30 minutes. If they can get out of this game, playing him less than 30, I think they do that. And I think he does get some ownership, at least of now. So, yeah, his ownership goes down. If Embiid gets ruled out, people go hard and stuff like that. But, man, if it's a chalk Giannis, I would definitely be a little hesitant. You get the best matchup. I'm going to talk assuming these Denver guys are going to be out. Nobody on this Denver team can stop them. Aaron Gordon's athletic, so you do a little better. But he can get the minutes he plays. I'm nervous about the minutes ceiling, though. And on a 10-game slate at 11.5, you can't have a snowflake at that spot. So probably not Giannis. He's still a fine play. He's going to be owned. He's a fine play. He's 11.5. I'm nervous about him, though, has some concerns. Second game off of injury. Going to the Denver side, though, yeah, so the injury stuff we got. Michael Porter Jr., doubtful. Jokic, questionable. Jamal Murray, questionable. KCP, questionable. Bones Highland, questionable. These were most of these. I think all of them actually were midday questionable tags. Maybe Bones was already questionable. KCP, Murray, Jokic, I think were midday downgrades. If Jokic is out, Zeke Naji will start for him probably. If Jamal is out, Bruce Brown will probably start at the point guard. They'll have Bones there too if he's healthy. We're going to have to see. We only have 2 games that will lock before this for sure. This game's at 8, one at 7, one at 7:30. This will be a Discord and up to lock show game, seeing who they start, what they do with all the injury news. But they don't play Jokic, Jamal Murray, KCP. Love Bruce Brown at 5'2", guard and small forward eligibility. Would love Bones Highland, who plays at 4'3". Christian Braun is 3.1K, would probably start for KCP if he's out. Like, they're just going to throw this whole game. And if Jokic is out, I think all of these guys are out. If some of them play, I think they all play. And the line in the midday downgrade screams, looks like they're going to be resting. Play all the backups, play all the starters. They're all going to be free. And that's why Giannis is going to probably be higher owned because we'll get the value. Everyone's going to run it back in the same game. But, yeah, it's hard to break down right now without the injury news. Hope I did my best.
No, you crushed it. I would say this, though, gives me some thoughts here. We the people said, give me this game over any possible Denver value. Talking on the previous game where we really broke it down and went in. I think that's one of the most interesting things just to take away. I talk about it all the time and sometimes even in other sports as well. But the late news in NBA is so important. But like we already said, if we like that Houston-Washington spot, the news could still break our way there. But what will happen is if the Denver news also tilts at the exact same time, I think, to title to your point, that everyone runs to that because it's been the news we've been sort of waiting on all day, and there's more pieces that go with it. And it includes bigger pieces like Jokic and Giannis and bigger names. Whereas if you already liked what's in the Washington-Houston game, you don't need to get off it just because the late news leans you there, especially if you feel these are already better value plays, whereas other people say, oh, it says this, or the projections made it say that. It may be 2 points in the difference. You could always just stick with what you originally had in this spot if you truly believe Washington-Houston is better. So great job.
Sure. The only guy that I think like Gafford, if Monte Morris is out, like the DeLon Wrights, Bradley Beal, Kuzma's, I still all think they're going to be great plays. It's probably the one where I'll lean Denver over the value on Washington is Corey Kispert, like 3-1. Christian Braun, Corey Kispert. I don't know strongly about that. Like if Bones is there without anyone else or stuff like that, like I'm not playing Washington over Bones by himself for that stuff. But Kispert's really the only one I would really feel strong about Denver. Otherwise, yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and that's just more for people to see because I think people just do that at the end. They don't know, where do I go? I really loved what I have, but now do I have to switch to this Denver stuff just because more news broke that way? You don't have to if you feel that what you've got is good. If there's some big-time news, and that's why it's so important. Again, we talk about it all the time, but if you remember at Run Pure Sports, you get all sports for one price. We're talking NBA. You're here for that. That's what you want to be there for. The Up to Lock show, JSU, Big T, Holden, different guests throughout that pop on it over the time of the year. They're talking about all this stuff as it's breaking, but then converting it to exact decisions in your lineup, kind of like what we try and do here with the news we have. But they'll say, well, now remember, most people have this guy and this guy. I think if you flip to this value play, you can bump this guy up and add that guy over there, making up all examples, of course, but just to give you an idea of how it works and why it's so important and why you see those logos up at the top on these nights, because people are grinding it right to the last second and getting the exact on-the-go news as it pops up. Locks, go to you, man. Same spot. Give us your take on it, what you see happening here.
Yeah, in this game, I just see myself a lot lower on this game than everybody else because I do see these guys sitting out, and that's just going to open up, obviously, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, Najee. It's just if Bones Highland doesn't play too, then, yeah, you're looking at guys like Christian Braun, Konkar off the bench. So there's a lot of interesting spots here. It's just, do you want to wait for this? I'd rather just keep my lineup the same with these Washington-Houston guys, not flip it no matter what this news is. So really, I see them sitting out. So I'm going to probably say Bruce Brown and Aaron Gordon are probably my favorites. I'm just going to grab bits and pieces from this game. I'm not going to stack this game. I'd say only those 2 guys and then only Giannis on the other side of the ball. Those 3 guys are my only interest here. Otherwise, I'm pretty much off of this game, even with that value on Denver.
Yeah, I was looking it up too. I know one guy, Bruce Brown, definitely hurt a lot of people the other night. Everyone went to him, and then it didn't end up working out. So you could go back to him here and see how that shakes out. He didn't have the worst game. It just wasn't what people were hoping, I think. Like he ended up getting, 21 DraftKings points or something, and it took a while to get there. He sat at 8 points, I remember, for quite a while. So just keep that in mind too. But let's move on. Let's go to the next one here. Title, I'll go back to you. Atlanta, OKC. Finally get pretty big total here, right? 238, tight spread. Looks like a good back and forth game here. It looks like there's a little bit of news we're waiting on, but talk us through this one. What do you see?
Yeah, there's the injury news actually matters because this is a game where I think there's multiple guys that I think are fine if you land as a last piece. If you do want to game stack it, I don't think it's the craziest. Not where I'll probably go on a 10-game slate. I think there's enough good one-offs or elite one-offs where I don't think you can just fade all the value. But Okongwu questionable and DeAndre Hunter questionable is the two news that we're talking about. If Hunter misses, I think Bogdanovic would slide in the starting lineup. 4.9K at shooting guard and small forward eligibility would become one of my favorite plays on the slate. And then Clint Capella, if Okongwu misses, Capella's got his minutes raised a little bit. 5.7K without their backup center. Played 36 minutes last game. Him and Bogdanovic would definitely be my favorite plays. If Hunter gets ruled out, Bogdanovic, that is. Okongwu gets ruled out, Capella, that is. And I think that news might be a little sneaky. I don't think people are thinking it's important as it is. John Collins would get a bump too with either of those guys out. So yeah, that's the main stuff with the injury news. If you want to play Trey, you want to play DeJounte, I would max one of them. I don't have a strong lean. I don't know if I'm going to play the guessing game anymore. Same thing can be said about OKC. SGA 9-8, Giddey 7-8. I'm maxing one of them. Hopefully you get the right guy. I don't know if I'm playing that guessing game either. I think all four of those guys are solid plays though. Any of them can smash. Any of them can get a snowflake. But yeah, it's mainly Capella if Okongwu's out, Bogdanovic and John Collins if Hunter is out. Collins can be for if Okongwu or Hunter is out. If all of them are in, I'm still fine if you play one of them guys, if you land on one of them as the last piece, but it wouldn't go out of my way for it.
Yeah, Locks, give me your thoughts here on this one because we can get a back and forth going here. We can do Shea versus Trey too tonight if you wanted to get a little mini back and forth going between those two guys. But this game is going to be a good one, I think, at least on paper. Again, this is the difference between a Washington, Houston, and an Atlanta OKC. Not just the totals 6 or 7 points. It's only 6 or 7 points in the total. It's the pricing and what's condensed and things like that. So there is some pieces here. We got to wait on some of the news, Locks, but give us your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, this one I'm probably going to be lower on than the field as well. There is some pieces here, obviously, that are interesting. Different ways you can go about this game. But like Title just mentioned, SGA and Giddey, you don't know which one's gonna have that game. So I'd rather just steer clear of that here. I feel more confident in that Houston-Washington game, in the Bucks-Denver game. I just don't think I'm going to be too heavy on this game. If I am playing it on the OKC side, it's pretty much SGA or Giddey for me. Nobody else on that team that I'm interested in playing. And then on the Hawks side, Clint Capella is pretty much my main guy I like here. I think Okongwu sits, so I love Clint Capella. I think he's going to play probably at least 35 minutes. Double-double for sure. I mean, he's going to be solid for us tonight at really not that high of ownership, so he's my favorite play. And then DeJounte Murray at 8,200 is interesting to me. I think he can go off here against OKC. $8,200 isn't too pricey, and I don't see him being too highly owned either. So probably Capella and Murray for me, SGA, Giddey on the other side, and move on. Yeah,
the Capella the other night, 41 DraftKings points. That was definitely a good game coming back in. 36 minutes, played full load basically. So at 5,700, he's still more than fair. And I kind of like what you said, Title, with the late news that we'll get here too. Again, it's another game right at that same time slot as the others. How many go to Bogdan, when you at 4,900 or those guys when you've got the other spots to fill? It's just another example of guys where you could go to. And I think he's really interesting at 4,900. So I do like that call. Title, come back to you on this one, man. We got Minnesota, New Orleans, 230 total. It's in New Orleans, 3-point favorites at home. Thoughts on this game?
Yeah, Brandon Ingram's going to be back today for the Pelicans, which definitely makes that side a lot less interesting. As far as the Timberwolves side, Rudy Gobert is questionable. I mean, if Gobert's out, Nas is 4.7K, still power forward and center eligible. You know the story. I mean, it worked out great early. It hasn't worked out as great recently. I'll keep going back to it. However, I shouldn't say I'll keep going back to it for sure, because I was going to ask you two, someone in chat. He only played 9 minutes last game, and I just went and looked at his rotation. Played the last 5 minutes of the first quarter, came in and then he didn't play the whole second quarter. Then third quarter, he came with like 6 minutes to go, got taken out at 2 minutes left, and never came back in either. So I don't know. I didn't watch that game. I haven't heard like injury, nothing like that. So if anyone in your Minnesota fan watched that game, has any idea, talk about it, because Nas never plays 9 minutes, even in a game Gobert is is healthy. So I got to try and look into that a little more if anyone's got info there. Other than that, though, I mean, yeah, if it's normal Nas, he starts. I'm going to play him at 4-7 if Gobert's out. Gobert's in. I mean, I don't really want to play Gobert. I don't think he'd be my favorite, although at 6-8. If he's in, it's pretty much just a fade is how I see it. So monitor Gobert news. Hopefully someone in chat knows about this Nas situation. He got benched. Yeah, I mean, Reed got demoted by night. That's what I was worried about. So if Naz Reid started, Gobert was out and they said Naz Reid was starting, I'd feel way better about it. If Naz Reid doesn't start, though, and it was Nathan Knight. So whoever starts for Gobert, I have a lot of interest in. If Naz Reid starts, you'd have to expect that he's not going to get a way minutes bump down. But yeah, Reid was demoted by Knight. If Nathan Knight's the guy and he starts over Gobert and it's not Naz Reid, same thing I said about Naz Reid starting, it'd be Nathan Knight. Play the starter if Gobert's out, and that's really all I like.
Yeah, another thing I saw too, just looking it up, a couple other things. A lot of trade rumors around Naz Reid, right? We're getting close to the deadline. So maybe, obviously they said Sengun was lighting him up, so that would make sense already. But if thinking about trying to move him, usually they showcase him, but another way is just to keep him healthy and be able to move on from it. Like you said, they've got other options there, of course, and they already have. I mean, their bigs loaded when they get everybody healthy. They went for that angle, and we'll see how it ends up working out. It hasn't been great so far. But you guys, do us a favor, 200 likes. Almost. We got to get to 400. I know some of you probably just arrived. Take that 2 seconds just to remember to hit that thumbs up. Keeps the show moving. Locks, I'll go to you, man. Same game here. Minnesota, New Orleans. What do you got?
Yeah, I'll start with the Pelicans side just because there's really nothing there for me. With Ingram being back, it just takes me off of this team completely. I just don't know. I don't trust anything. CJ McCollum's up there, but I can't play 8,500 for him when Ingram's in. He's just not going to get all the usage we need him to. So I'm probably fully Xing this Pelicans team out. As far as the Timberwolves side, yeah, Gobert's important. I kind of hope he just plays so I don't have to worry about the Naz Reid and Nathan Knight situation. I might just completely exit off anyway, just so I don't even have to think about it. Otherwise, I'll just sit there and overthink and tinker on which one I want to go with. So I'm kind of leaning, in all honesty, on just Xing this Timberwolves side too. I'll probably keep Russell and Edwards in there just because they can get there for us, but I just don't like this center situation there, even if Gobert's out. I mean, yeah, if Nathan Knight starts at 3,200, interesting, but Reed could come in and take over for him if he gets in foul trouble. So I'd rather just steer clear, go somewhere where I know what's going to happen and move on. So I'm probably way lower on this game than most people.
Yeah, and this is the opposite of what we said earlier, in my opinion, at least just going back to what we had mentioned. Like, we liked some of the guys in the Atlanta spots. We liked some in the Houston-Washington game. We know that Denver is going to bring all the attraction if we get that news that we're expecting. But this is one that if you don't like it, you really have to sit there and say Naz Reid versus Nathan Knight, or is this the spot? Or are those guys actually going to shatter the slate and be the piece that you require? I'll be watching the Up to Lock show to find out, but I'm just saying that's something I think about when I'm going through it as well. Do I really, again, do you need to go somewhere just because if this happens, that means this? It doesn't still mean that they need to go into your lineup. You only get so many places to fill up. And elephant in the room, we talked a little bit about, I guess, at the top of the show, but we got some good games coming up and some big totals. So get ready for those. Smash that like button on the way in if you still haven't. Title, I'll go back to you, man. Utah, Portland is the next one up. Here's where we get to, I think, the second, at least the biggest total so far, almost 240 points, tight spread. Utah in Portland. What do you got with this one?
Yeah, this is where total doesn't mean as – I always talk about total just like you do. It's important. I mean, a game's supposed to score 240 and score to 210. You like that higher total more, but the injury situation is always the most important thing. Two healthy teams. Portland just missing Justice Winslow. Been like that for a while. Kelly Olynyk's just the only guy missing on Utah. Been like that for a while. So these guys are appropriately priced. If you want a one-off, a Nurkic, Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, I think or Damian Lillard, throw him in the boat as well. All of those guys I think are fine. And if you want to go to the Utah side, Jordan Clarkson, probably my favorite at 6'6". Mike Conley, maybe 5'6". Malik Beasley, maybe 4'7". What I would do is I would go to SaberSim. I would say max one of these guys on Portland, max one of these guys on Utah. I think all 8 guys I just said, let me list them again. Grant, Simons, Hart, Nurkic, Clarkson, Conley, Dame, Malik Beasley. I think all of those guys are fine as a last piece, all probably sub 10%, right around there. If you need to get different, come to this game. It's not a game a lot of people are going to, though, so that's how I see it. And maybe this is we have 4 10 p.m. Eastern or 10:30 games. Maybe you are backloading a lineup saying LeBron really might miss today. LeBron's out. now Anthony Davis should be back, so it's not like a smash Laker spot, but just say you're trying to play the LeBron angle, you want more spots open depending on that news, you can go to those guys go to this game for a piece here or there is how I'd see it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I love the point that you brought up. Mike liked it as well, and that's what we always talk about. Again, the total of these games is more a content piece. It's just a filler to make sure we know what we're talking about, and it's a good thing to analyze to then look into. We usually write them off. It's no different in football. I say it all the time. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is putting up 30 points most games, DraftKings points, but when he's throwing to 12 different receivers or pass catchers across the board and throughout the game, that's not going to be the best for DFS, even though it's got the big total and the spot. It's the same in NBA. We just talked about it with Atlanta OKC. Are you really going to play Trey with Murray and all those other guys? Are you probably more likely to play a Bogdan or a Clint Capella? On the OKC side, you don't know is it going to be Giddey or Shea or any of those, like who it's actually going to be. So just because it has a total and a close game, you can't play for overtime. That's kind of a bonus if you get it on a game stack that makes sense. Almost like Title said earlier, where you don't want to be playing for a blowout, but sometimes it works in your favor, or you can go for that and you get it anyway, and you just happen to have a guy that's going to stay in the game. So don't hate that call. Love that point that you made, Title. It definitely makes sense. This is another game like that because we don't have a bunch of injuries and it can just get spread out across all these guys. And if nobody's hitting their ceiling, you're not going to have those flames on the DraftKings app that get you to the top of the leaderboard. So Locks, I'll go to you, man. I thought it was a great point by Title there. What do you got to add with this one?
Yeah, definitely a great point. I completely agree on that call, and I'm going to be really Xing this entire game out. I know a lot of people kind of like Walker Kessler. I mean, he's in a good spot, but since Markkanen's came back, he really hasn't been as good as what we were seeing there. I mean, he's still solid, but he's not getting there for us. His price tag's at $6K. I just find myself getting elsewhere. So I think Utah it spreads around too much there. 9-1 for Markkanen, no. So I'm okay crossing the Utah side off. And on the Portland side, it's really just Dame for me. That all spreads around a little too much too. I might sprinkle in a little Josh Hart at 5,100. He's been looking pretty good, and he'll be lower owned as well. So I'd say really Dame, Josh Hart for me, and really I won't play much else from this game.
Yeah, the Hart call, I know he was going to be popular the other night, and then sort of other stuff happened, so that was kind of the opposite of everything we've been talking about here, where it was a play that everyone was going to, didn't end up on him. Some people played Dame, and I think, didn't Dame have a huge game the other night? I think it was 61. Yeah, 61. Yeah. But I know that was a couple nights ago. I love the Pat Bev the other night when he was letting him know watch was broken on him. And he said, it ain't no Dame time tonight. So I was loving that shit. But you don't see that all the time. But, of course, you see it with Pat Bev. So we'll see what Portland can do tonight. I like Title's point there quite a bit. And these last three games, pretty exciting. 222. I love the number. All twos across the board. Great number for likes. But with 600 watching, it's not going to do the job, guys. So we got to get 400 likes. Maybe consider it at 350 if you guys can get it rolling. But only 3 games left to go. Otherwise, we save the plays of the day for the Discord. And then, of course, we'll have the Up the Lock show with the plays, the course posted on the site, everything there for you guys to check out on runpuresports.com. Title, go back to you with this one. The chat's talking about Precious already. We got Toronto, Sacramento. What are you doing here with this game? Waiting on the OG Anunoby news, of course. But give us your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, so is he probable now, or is he? I think he's on track to play.
Yeah, I didn't see if there was an update yet.
I believe. Yeah, I believe. I'm going to go on the assumption. So I'm going to check and let us know. I think he is on track to play though, which brings me to the last game. Literally copy and paste what I said about that Utah Portland game to the Sacramento Toronto game. I think multiple pieces are priced. This whole game is priced appropriately. 2 healthy teams, a solid total that we're looking at. 238. These big totals are late, but so far these 2 games, these teams are healthy. I mean, if you want to play a Scotty Barnes, he's been playing good basketball as of late. 7.6 is appropriately priced. I think he's fine. If you want to go Siakam 9.6, Fred VanVleet 8.1. Oh, next, all of those guys, they're all going to be 5% or less, probably somewhere around there. They can all get there in a great game environment, but 2 of those guys could easily have snowflakes. You hope you get the guy that has the flame emoji. I'm setting a rule max of 1 there. Going over the Sacramento side, I like more the cheaper, the mid-tier guys, like a Keegan Murray, 5K, playing upper 30s minutes. Kevin Huerter, 5'2", shooting guard, small forward eligibility. Malik Monk, 4'5". Fox, 8'4". I like 2. Sabonis, 10'4" there. Would make a rule the max 1 of Fox and Sabonis. But this is a game. If you're playing the LeBron route, you want to see if he's going to, if the questionable take goes to out, you want to play some Lakers. And if he gets ruled in, you can go to this game. I think there's some fine value. If I don't have any of this game at the end of the night, I think that's totally fine too, because these 8 p.m. Eastern games, especially if this Denver, all these questionable tags go to out, I'll probably have a lot of my spots done by 8 p.m. Again, all these guys, fine plays. Monk, Murray, Herder, Siakam, Van Vliet, Fox, Sabonis, Barnes. I mean, all these guys are studs. A lot of those guys, I said, are priced above 8K in a great matchup. Max one of them. You land on them. Hope you get the flame emoji. You have none of this game. I think you're totally fine that way.
Yeah, different reports. Like the main one that we look
exactly,
at, like underdog
Coach.
or something. I don't
One-off game, last piece. Exactly, Coach. One-off game, last piece is how I see it.
The OG stuff title, I don't see probable still. Some sites show questionable. One spot shows probable. So
all right, let me touch on questionable quick, because that definitely changes. If OG is out, would love Scotty Barnes at 7-6. Would really like Siakam at 9-6. Would really like Fred VanVleet at 8-1. Or Precious himself would get a little bump at 4-5. So yeah, I probably would change that max one of these Toronto to max 2. And I think you could play like a Scotty Barnes would be my favorite if he's ruled out. Already playing good ball. Can do it in so many areas. So monitor the OG news. I didn't know.
We'll see. The other thing looking him up is there's like every second piece is about him getting traded and guys, the teams that want him and willing to give up a lot.
He's on
Obviously,
the block for sure.
Toronto's got stacked. Toronto has guys that they can use. They're pretty stacked up. They're all sort of those mediocre mid-tier pieces that nobody really considers these stars. But OG is pretty valuable, I think. So we have to see how that shakes out. Again, a lot of stuff coming up with the trades and deadlines and things like that. So see how it all shakes out. Locks, I'll come to you, man. Same game. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, as far as the Kings side, I'll start there. Not a ton of interest. I just Herder and Barnes, they always burn me. I can never get them right, so I'm just crossing those two off. Keegan Murray's probably the most interesting at 5K. He's been shooting the ball a lot better. He gets the minutes. It's just whether or not he's making his shot or not. He's looked good recently. He's always super low owned, so I wouldn't mind getting to him. Sabonis, I can't get to 10-4 on. I'd rather pay up for Giannis tonight probably, or pay down at the center position. I don't find myself getting there. I'm fine if you need to. Just personally, I'm not going to. On the Raptors side, if OG's out, I love Precious at 4,500. I still don't think he gets that much ownership, even with OG out, even if he's starting. So that'll probably be my main interest there. Then Scotty Barnes, then Fred VanVleet. Not much interest in Siakam. That 9,600 price tag's a little steep for me. He hasn't really had a ceiling game in quite a while, so I'll probably be off that. But if OG's out, Precious is probably my favorite play.
Yeah, I like that call too. So, yeah, the Precious one, we'll have to wait and see on that. Like I said, again, it's conflicting reports. Some say questionable. One site says probable. The main site that most people use didn't really update them or even include them. Didn't even include OG in the graphic for the day of saying things are waiting to see.
Which makes me think that he's probably playing, but who knows?
That's what I would expect too. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, keep all that in mind as you're going through it. That's one of the later games. We've got 3 games, I believe, at that 10 o'clock time slot, and then the Spurs and Lakers to round out the slate. Let's go to the second last one, though, title. Memphis Golden State. Again, big total, but again, that doesn't mean everything. It's like you said, we talked through that already. What are your thoughts on some of these pieces here? Because Ja is back, Steven Adams still out. Some of these guys you want to talk about in this game.
Yeah, so Golden State, they're healthy. I mean, Iggy's the only one out. He's been out forever. So Golden State, healthy team. Now Ja's going to be back for Memphis. We still are without Conchar and Steven Adams. Adams, the big news, though. Obviously, he's out. Xavier Tillman, 3.2K. And then you got Brandon Clark at 4.4K. Xavier Tillman started for Steven Adams last game. Everyone thought it was going to be Brandon Clark. It was Xavier Tillman. If he starts like we expect him to right now, we're not going to have all the starting. We're not going to have this Memphis starting lineup in time before these other games. Most of these other games lock. You have to assume, at least I'm going to assume, Tillman is the starter. 3.2K starting center. I mean, I'm going to play it. I think that's very good value. We have enough spend ups on this slate. I think Xavier Tillman's a great play. I think Ja's a very interesting play in his first game back. 9.7K is way cheaper than we see Ja. He only missed that one game. Now he gets Golden State in a high total in a competitive matchup. We know these two teams have some bad blood, always competitive games together. I think Ja can play 40 minutes tonight at 9.7K, and that sounds very appealing to me. Desmond Bane right there at 7.3. I probably max one of them just because you're spending so much salary on the two. But, man, Bane is playing great basketball right now. You get the discount from Ja. Maybe I prefer that. I don't know for sure. The ownership I'm seeing is over double on Ja than Desmond Bane. And if that's the case, I think I do like the savings with Desmond Bane. Get on a little different roster construction. Dylan Brooks, man, I never get this guy right. Probably no for me. Brandon Clark, I think's fine though. 4.4K. He only played 12 minutes last game though. And again, I hope someone in YouTube chat has more information on that. No one expected him to play that little. He didn't play great in his minutes, but man, anytime Adams has been out, whenever Brandon Clark got his minutes, he always smashed. So it's going to be Tillman over Clark for me for sure. But if no one knows anything about, if you can project Brandon Clark for 25 minutes, I would absolutely love Brandon Clark. I'm just not sure the minutes are going to be there. Not sure I want to take on that risk. Going over to the Golden State side, yeah, not too much interest here. I mean, a Steph, a Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, I max all of them at 1. Probably Draymond and Clay are my favorites just because they're in the 6K range. But I probably won't get to any Golden State. So, yeah, ranking Memphis, definitely Xavier Tillman, then Desmond Bane, then Ja. And I have to look into Brandon Clark a little more.
Yeah, I like the Dre call a little bit. I think he makes sense. Draymond, and then probably, me and John Morant. I wouldn't like that at all. Not a $9,700 John Morant coming back ready to go in this matchup against Golden State. So, we'll see. Locks, you talk to me about this game, man. I might have a little interest there, though. Let's just say that. Go ahead.
You liking Ja Morant? I would have never thought that was a thing, buddy.
Did you see that dunk? Since we last talked, was the last time I think it might have been in between, but the big hammer.
He has won every single time.
I know.
By the time we talk,
you don't like watching that? I personally love watching that.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. So, by the way, Title, speaking of, we got a little time here, so story time. Sorry to cut you off, Locks, very quick. We found the video, Title. I'm not sure if someone showed you this. Someone remixed the video of you versus Big T when you put him down, when you caught him, and then he falls forward, and they kept bringing it back and cycling it through.
It was my buddy. My buddy. He did that way back, and I didn't tweet. I didn't do any of it. Yeah, but my buddy did that and it was like got me tripping. Our guy was looking for the video to try and see if we had the full stream, and I couldn't find it. I was looking like Uncle T's feed. I was looking stuff up. You have to go way down in Uncle T's Twitter. It's down there though.
I went there it took me a while. I couldn't find it there, but then I found that, and I don't know, Locks, if you ever saw it, but there's going to be a revenge matchup. I think everyone's getting healthy for this next one, so have to see how that goes down. Title always getting the bets in, willing to put big money on himself too, so at least got to respect that. And hey, he's got even more money this time around that he can bet with after the Drafters title. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes as far as the bets. But I'll go back to you here, Locks. Trying to give some extra time for these likes to get in, but nobody wants them today. No plays of the day. Pretty much can announce it now. We've got a game and a half left. But go ahead, Locks. Memphis, Golden State. What do you got with this one?
Yeah, with this one, just speaking of as we look earlier, like the Harden Kyrie situation, this is one where you can play Ja and Steph in the same lineup. I know somebody mentioned that in chat. That's definitely an interesting way to go. You got a couple guys that can just absolutely break it late for you. Hopefully all your early guys smash, and then you got them two just sitting there. I mean, that's pretty. So definitely a lot of interest in maybe that build. As far as Tillman goes, I think Brandon Clark was in a little bit of foul trouble, if I don't remember. I don't mind going.
I was going to answer that. Someone in chat brought it up. So he got in foul trouble. Yeah, in the first quarter, his initial stint, 2 minutes, he picked up 2 fouls. He picked up 2 fouls. Then he played a couple minutes, picked up his third in the second quarter. But then he didn't come back all the way until the last minute of the third, and only played 3 minutes in the fourth. So I know that game. I think that game got away a little bit. Yeah, they closed with all bums, so that's probably has something to do with it. So he definitely missed his first half run. Why he only came back in so late in the third, I don't know. But so that's the answer to that. So he did get in foul trouble, which resulted in some of those 12 minutes.
Yeah, and that's interesting to me. I think that's why a lot of people will go to Tillman right away, right at 3,200. I mean, people are going to try to jam him in. If he's going to be 15-20% more owned than Brandon Clark, I'd rather go to the 4,400 Brandon Clark here in a bounce back spot that obviously we've seen. If he can get to 25 minutes, yeah, I'm going to be in a good spot there because I think he definitely outplays Tillman. So that's going to be kind of my lean on that side of things. It's really just those couple guys for me, Ja and Brandon Clark on that side. I'll sprinkle in Tillman, obviously a $3,200 center starting. You can't really fully fade a guy like that. So still some interest there. I'd just rather play the ownership game on that side. And then the Warriors, yeah, Curry, love him. Draymond Green, I think, is in a smash spot tonight. I think he gets us a double-double, possible triple-double. I think he's in a good spot. So I'd say Draymond, Steph on that side of the ball, and then Ja, Brandon Clark, Tillman for me on the other side.
Yeah, this game looks so good. The more I think about it, and the chat's talking about it too. Like, just look at that. You could put 3 pieces, no problem, from this game and still fit everything you want with all the value. And it's not like it's super condensed, but I definitely think we see a good back and forth here. The spread's tight, big total. I think it all goes together. And late night hammer. Again, it's not the latest game, though. We'll go to that one now. Title Spurs at Lakers. And then again, waiting on news here. So we're not going to get this news, but maybe just how you see it shaking out. Obviously, Davis back. LeBron questionable. LeBron was getting shit talk too on the way out of the arena the other night. I'm not sure if you saw that video. They hit back to the old school, the receding hairline on him, but he was getting some talk. He acted like he was going to stop and say something. Didn't really say much, but give us your thoughts on this one, Title.
Yeah, LeBron handles himself well in most of those.
Oh, yeah.
He was frustrated for sure at the end of the bench. He did everything he could. Team still didn't get it together. I mean, he's questionable. I don't know. This questionable tag feels like he could miss. We always say he's questionable. We expect him to play. I would not be surprised if he misses. I kept alluding to AD coming back. I guess he is questionable at the end of the day, but they already came out. Why? Just assumed he was back. They already said he's playing 20 to 24 minutes if he does. So why? Yeah, I mean, why it would make sense for LeBron not to play is AD comes back. He plays his 20, 25 minutes, get LeBron rested, and then those two can start bonding and forming the tandem together when they both can play more than 20 to 24 minutes. So if I had to lean, I would say LeBron misses. But regardless, with AD now back in this situation, it's not like, I mean, now Russell Westbrook becomes a must play by any means. It's 8.3K. I don't really know, even if LeBron's out, I really don't know if I want to get to any of these Lakers still, assuming Anthony Davis is in. If AD was out and LeBron was out, Thomas Bryant at 5.5, then you could get to Westbrook at 8.3. But assuming AD plays, I don't think the LeBron news does much for me. Going over to the Spurs side, checking out their injury situation. Devin Vassell still out. Romeo Langford doubtful. I mean, I don't know. Do I really want to play this team on a 10-game slate and get popped? And I don't know. So probably just fade the Spurs. I don't want to, especially as the season goes on and the number one pick is coming sooner and sooner and sooner. These rotations can get crazier and crazier. So I probably don't need to get to any of these Spurs.
Yeah, talking in the chat about the scoring records for LeBron.
Oh, there you go. I mean, maybe that's really sharp. He misses because they wanted to pass that scoring record at home. I mean, that would make total sense to me. So
he's at home.
Well, but isn't he like 200 something away or like?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, I figured.
But if he's still that, I mean, I thought I saw 200 something. But why would they? How would they?
I don't know how that leans into that. That's what I'm saying. We always get these Lakers narratives every show. People are trying to come up with new ones.
Then you think of something, and then it doesn't make sense. Maybe they have a long home stretch. I'll have to check.
Yeah, the chat brought up a good point too. Well, again, we'll wait and see. That's why this game's it doesn't suck to talk about. It's just about when you don't have all the news. Like, again, Rui supposed to put a jersey on tonight and see how he shapes out and see what he does. Questionable though. We'll see. Lonnie Walker questionable.
They're on the road for 5 straight games. Interesting. So I mean, they would rest him maybe. I don't know. Who knows if that has anything to do. I mean, he's been playing really hard all these minutes. Now they get AD back to second night of a back-to-back. Like all that stuff makes sense of why he'd sit too. So who knows though? 174 points away.
Who knows too, right? Anything can happen. That's why. So you got to just see how it shakes out. But waiting for that, I don't know how much it's going to change. Like again, Locks, I'll let you talk about it. But again, when we get the news, about Westbrook, about Bryant, you can do all that stuff. But we've used up a lot by the end of that time. So I think someone mentioned it earlier in the chat. It was kind of interesting doing sort of what we do. They said you could play like a Brandon Clark and a Podol. And then you could shake it around. So it was Tillman and Keldon Johnson or something like that fits. But it doesn't do a lot for if LeBron's out. Then you're still looking at different moves if Bryant or Westbrook in the util. You have to kind of look at it from that perspective. And again, is that going to do it? I don't know. So I'm actually not that interested in it, at least as of now. We'll see how the rest of the slate shakes out. But Locks, I'll let you go ahead. Final game here, Spurs at Lakers.
Yeah, it's not looking like we're getting the free plays of the day today. But
no, I wrote that off already. People will learn for next time. We're back every Wednesday. I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too. Only the subscribers get it. We got to hit 15K. So get in there, subscribe, whatever you got to do. This one's quick for me. With AD back, we don't know his minutes. We don't know if LeBron's playing. I like way too many other spots. Rui is going to be in there, so we don't know that rotation yet. I'm fine crossing this Lakers team off. I don't feel confident in them tonight. I don't know what to do with them, so I'm just going to X them so I don't have to think about it. And then the other side, Trey Jones, Keldon Johnson, they're in good spots, low ownership if you want to get there. Obviously, the Lakers don't play much D, so interest in those two guys. And then Podol, I think, is in an interesting spot at 6K. He's going to be coming in under 10% owned. Definitely interesting there. I'd say those three guys on the Spurs side, nobody on the Lakers side. And I'm going to move on because I'll be playing the early games.
See, that's how I knew we wouldn't get to it, because they were done. Like, that's what I mean. This game, I don't have any interest really, no matter what happens. And if I happen to have spots left, then yes, I would consider it. It's always good to consider what your swap options are. But for me up front, I just don't see anything that's got me super excited or extremely concerned about this position. So we'll have to wait and see how the rest of the slate shakes out. Wait on all that other news. I didn't see title much else come up while we talked on here right now. Just saw the latest. Actually, it says Nembhard and Nesmith remain questionable. So, like, we did not get any of the updates really that we were hoping for.
Jonathan Isaac still 8 to 10 minutes, going back to like Apollo and stuff.
Well, again, that one was more like you said. I think if you're getting that news, which we just got, yeah, that's true. We can go ahead and play 7K Apollo and just play him at 7K if you want. Like you said, still a fair price. It's not like it's the best deal of the day, but it's definitely a good price for a guy that can go off and do big numbers. So, anything else from you, Title, before we get out of here?
As Mama Rock says, happy early birthday, Tambo. Best wishes for a wonderful year. So just want to echo that. Check up the Up to Lock show. News will be hitting.
Yeah, thanks to Mama there. There was a joke going around on Twitter today because he said there's nothing worse than a man who goes out and sort of organizes his own birthday party or wants to make sure the whole world knows. That's like my wife or someone, her friend, maybe they'll do that just because it's a big deal. It's a birthday. It's exciting. But I just said, of course, I'm going to bring that up just to be, devil's advocate, and all the golfers lately that have been asking for their birthday on Twitter, like, oh, the live golfers. The Ryder Cup didn't wish me a happy birthday, Ian Poulter said, or things like that. So anyone who follows me with golf and a lot of sports will see it being a big thing right now. I love making a joke of it. Trolled a little bit today, too, about the start times on the golf course. See how it worked out so far, and then Locks, I'll come to you for final thoughts. It looks like Rahm is +1 right now. Finau is even, and JT is going to burn the ticket. He's at 4 under, just crushing it. He's going to go off tomorrow too. So we'll wait and see. No more news. Joel Embiid, a game time decision just popped up. Still the same. Locks, final thoughts, man, before we get out of here?
Yeah, just pay attention to Discord as usual. There's a ton of news still. We're waiting on a lot of different ways we're going to be going about things. So I'll be in there trying to help out for the rest of the night here up until lock and the guys on the show. So tune into that and just be ready. Tambo, happy birthday, my January brother. I just had mine a few days ago. So yeah, there we go. January birthdays for the win. Let's go.
Happy belated, Locks. And look, one for the road. I just like looking at this graphic. I think is what it is. But you guys know me. I'm always willing to give mine away. I come here for these guys just to host with you. But I'll give mine. I hinted at earlier, and you probably knew who it was going to be. Pretty obvious. I like John Morant in this spot. I like him actually play. I like a little mini stack there. I like John Morant, Brandon Clark, and Draymond. And then just fill out the value pieces. I'll definitely be using that in one of my lineups. Again, Tillman could be the guy. But Morant and Clark have actually correlated well, had some good games together over a longer sample size. I like Dre on the other side, fair price. Use him at that power forward position. Still keep your center spot and utility open. So I gave you one. Don't say I didn't do it. That's my gift to you. I appreciate all the happy birthday early wishes. Thanks to everybody for watching. That's going to do it for this time for Title, for Locks, and for myself, Toe Tag, and Tambo. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.